Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We are going to take one of the great roads of Canada. On the Trans-Canada Highway, it's over the Rogers Pass. We started in Alberta, actually in Calgary, Alberta, and then we drove for an hour or so west to the Rocky Mountains, stopped at the community of Banff. Great tourist area. I made a couple of videos there, including the one about the black grizzly of Whiskey Creek. And we left Banff, stopped at Lake Louise briefly, crossed the Alberta-British Columbia boundary indicated by the white line, and we're into British Columbia. And the Rogers Pass Road is really between the community of Golden, BC, and to the west, Revelstoke, BC. And in the middle of the distance between Revelstoke and Golden is Rogers Pass. Driving west out of Banff, we recognized the iconic Castle Mountain. That's the mountain that they changed the name to Eisenhower Mountain in honor of an American president who was supposed to come up here. But things got in the way, and he never did make the meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister. But the name of the mountain had been already changed from Castle Mountain, the original name, long-time name, to Mount Eisenhower. And it took 20 years of continual lobbying by local groups to get that name changed back to the original name of Castle Mountain. We pulled into Lake Louise, a beautiful tourist spot. Beautiful big hotel, great scenery, and a little further west at the ski hill along the highway, it was crowded. The summertime had arrived and all kinds of rental RV units here and private ones as well. When we were younger and skied Lake Louise, we often ate at the Lodge of the 10 Peaks. And the Lodge of the 10 Peaks is fit for a king. Just look at the interior of this place. It was magnificent, fit for a king, like I say. The Trans-Canada Highway has got a couple of different special ways to get across the highway. One for the animals and one for people. The one for animals, sometimes there's a culvert or a tunnel built under the highway for them, or there's an overpass for them to go over the top of the highway. And those structures have been very successful. Here's an animal overpass. They go over top and we go under. We drove over the border into British Columbia, past the Mount Robson Park, a very nice tourist kind of a place. And Mount Robson is the highest mountain in the Canadian Rockies range. The Trans-Canada Highway over the Canadian Rockies between Golden and Revelstoke, over Rogers Pass, is a beauty of a road. Expect both truck traffic and road construction during the summer. They're always doing construction on the highway, building it from a 2-lane up to a 3-lane, and in some areas a 4-lane over the years. The highway was probably the worst engineering decision made in the history of engineering, trying to build a road and a railroad through this kind of country. However, there's nothing like a challenge to an engineer, and that's what they did. People think Rogers Pass is the highest point on the highway, but the highest point actually is at Kicking Horse Pass, which is closer to Golden on the east end. Rafting on the Kicking Horse is a popular tourist activity at Golden. This used to be a treacherous stretch of the highway. Lots of traffic, slow tourists enjoying the scenery, and trucks in a hurry. All on a 2-lane road. Look at the fencing there to stop the rocks from tumbling onto the highway. Construction changed it. A big new bridge and a 4-lane highway made it a faster and safer road. In BC, this Trans-Canada Highway is still the deadliest highway in the province. Most of fatalities. But it is a good highway, a safe highway. Drive it like you should do with all roads. with respect and care. We are going through one of the snow sheds you encounter. Heavy snow in the wintertime. In these sheds, the snow goes over the top and keeps the highway open. We are at the top of Rogers Pass, within range of 100 glaciers. Workers lived, when they built the railway, lived in tents and huts amongst snow avalanches in winter and forest fires in summer. This is the interior of the visitor center at the top of the pass. But continuing the early construction story of the railway, there was more than a death a worker per week. And I heard stories of men falling down cliffs, and there was no realistic chance to even make an effort to recover the bodies. The summit was called the Big Hill, where it took 4 engines to push only 15 cars up the hill, and then the danger of runaways on the downhill run. First train down the Big Hill cut loose, derailed, and plunged into the river, killing 3 trainmen. Switches were built on the main line that diverted trains onto 3 spur lines to slow them down in an emergency. But they had some major accidents and difficulties. So they eventually decided to build a tunnel. And they built a tunnel where it started at one end and made a U, a semicircle inside the mountain. And the other part of the tunnel, the other end, they did the same thing there. And they met in the middle, and the engineering was so accurate that in the middle of the mountain, the 2 tunnels came together right almost at the exact planned spot. They called them the spiral tunnels, and you can pull off the highway to see the railway track below. It took 1,000 workers and 75 carloads of dynamite over 25 years, but the Big Hill was abandoned in favor of the new spiral tunnels. Both the McDonald and Connaught tunnels are in this area. At this loop in the tunnel, you can see the train engine on top that has come out of the loop, and the end of the train going into the tunnel loop on the bottom track. We're rolling through the Canadian Rockies in the summertime, but does it snow in this country? Look at the evidence. You bet it does. You will notice 2 kinds of structures along the highway to deal with all of the snow. We are at the top of the pass, and on the left-hand side, you see that artillery gun? That's one of the structures. You see wider areas along the highway where they anchor these artillery guns and fire shots at large snow buildups on the mountains, causing them to avalanche down before they get bigger and more dangerous with the accumulating snow. This is the size of the artillery shells that they use. And the other kind of structure have been snowsheds, built quite a few decades ago, because there's just so much snow up in this country. It just avalanches down onto the highway, and even snowplows can't get it moved off in order for traffic to go through. So they eventually had to build several long snow sheds. And here comes one. They are modern and well lit. The railway tracks also has snow sheds, but they are older and constructed of wood. On the top of the pass, I went to the washroom and couldn't help but notice the signs. I had to take pictures of them. No such thing as men's and women's washrooms. It's all one and the same for men, women, and kids. We're all together, and Parks Canada is leading the way. I guess it's the sign of the new modern age. They had a similar controversy over male and female roles back before the turn of the 19th century. Women then were expected to wear dresses and skirts at all times, even when hiking the mountains. But some insisted on wearing pants, or as they called them, riding togs. a historical newspaper article said the following: "The young women who strut about the street and dine in the hotels dressed in riding togs should be soundly spanked and sent to bed. Pants are made for men and not for women. Women are made for men and not for pants." Such a woman was referred to as misconduct. Today, this bronze statue at Rogers Pass of a woman's lower body showing the wearing of hiking togs, so it looks like the women won another debate. The first hotel eventually had to be abandoned, just too isolated and too difficult for a lot of people to get at and use. But the most recent effort at a hotel right along the highway at Rogers Pass, it has fallen by the wayside as well. Last I heard, there was a court case between Parks Canada and the latest owner and a previous owner, all kind of accusing each other of not living up to the original contract. And last I heard, it was still in court. Both Golden and Revelstoke are big railway towns. This is the one at Revelstoke, I think, and downtown Revelstoke. It is on the west end. It's another tourist destination unto itself. It is the main road across Canada. And if you get a chance, take a drive on it. If you can't, look at the video again. At any rate, it is a great road. This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We'll see ya down the trail. Hit the subscribe button and that will tell you when we're putting more videos on the internet. And to find more travel videos, like it says at the bottom there, just Google the little @ Don Barnett 5090. Hit playlists in the middle of the page and scroll down. Each playlist contains several travel videos.